Admiral Catherine Zhang stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, the flagship of humanity's largest military fleet ever assembled. Behind her ship, stretching across millions of kilometers of space, 700,000 warships hung in perfect formation, a constellation of death waiting to be unleashed. On the main view screen, the last transmission from New Haven Colony played on repeat. Children laughing in a playground. Farmers tending to golden wheat fields under an alien sun. Families gathered for evening meals. Then, in an instant, everything turned to fire. The Zolthrine battlecruisers had appeared without warning, their plasma cannons reducing the entire colony to ash in less than 20 minutes. 43 million humans gone. All fleet commanders are standing by, Admiral, reported Commander James Park, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. Every person on this bridge had lost someone. Catherine's own sister and her family had been on New Haven, celebrating their daughter's 10th birthday when the attack came. Catherine's fingers traced the edge of her command console. 3 months had passed since the massacre. 3 months of grief that had transformed into something harder, colder. 3 months for Earth's military-industrial complex to work at capacity never seen before, churning out warships with a singular purpose. Retribution. Open a channel to all ships, Catherine commanded. 700,000 captains appeared on subsidiary screens surrounding the bridge, a mosaic of determined faces from every nation, every culture on Earth. For the first time in human history, there were no divided loyalties, no political games. The Zolthrine had united humanity in a way no politician or philosopher ever could. 3 months ago, they came to New Haven with superior technology and overwhelming force. Catherine's voice rang clear across the fleet. They believed we were weak. Scattered. They thought one devastating blow would make us retreat into our solar system and hide. She paused, letting the weight of memory settle over 700,000 crews. They were wrong. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity becomes when you slaughter our children. Today, we teach the Zolthrine and anyone watching that there is no corner of space distant enough, no fleet powerful enough, to escape justice. Catherine's hand hovered over the activation sequence for the fleet-wide jump. All ships, prepare for quantum displacement. Target, Zolthrine Prime. May God have mercy on their souls, because we won't. The fleet vanished from Earth space in a cascade of blue-white light. The Zolthrine had ruled their sector of space for 3,000 years. Their empire spanned 47 star systems, their military doctrine refined through countless conquests. They had encountered and subjugated dozens of younger species. Humans were supposed to be just another entry in their long list of victories, primitive beings who had barely mastered. Faster than light travel. High Commander Zaltharis stood in the central war chamber of Zolthrine Prime's orbital defense network, reviewing reports with growing unease. The attack on the human colony had been authorized by the Expansionist Council as a demonstration of power, a warning to keep the newcomers in check. But instead of cowering, the humans had gone silent. Complete communications blackout for 3 months. High Commander, his tactical officer's voice broke through his thoughts, were detecting massive quantum displacement signatures at the system's edge. Zaltharis's 3 eyes narrowed. How many ships? The tactical officer's skin color shifted to a pale shade of distress. Sensors indicate 700,000 vessels. High Commander, this must be a system error. It's no error, Zaltharis interrupted, his claws extending reflexively. The Zolthrine had perhaps 12,000 ships in the entire sector. Sound the alarm. Activate all planetary shields. Scramble every available fighter. But even as he gave the orders, Zaltharis knew it was futile. The humans hadn't come to negotiate or issue warnings. They had come with mathematics, cold, brutal arithmetic that said, "You took 43 million of ours, we brought enough firepower to erase your entire civilization." The human fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation, a sphere of warships that enclosed the entire Zolthrine home system. Catherine watched the tactical display as Zolthrine defense stations powered up, their ships scrambling from orbital docks. "They're hailing us, Admiral," reported the communications officer. "Ignore it. Weapons free. All ships engage at will." What followed wasn't a battle, it was an execution. Human railguns, operating at relativistic speeds, tore through Zolthrine shields like paper. Fusion missiles, each carrying payloads equivalent to small stars, obliterated orbital stations in blooms of nuclear fire. Point defense lasers created webs of light that disintegrated incoming fire before it could reach its targets. The Zolthrine fought with the desperation of a species facing extinction. Their plasma weapons carved glowing scars across human hulls. Their fighters dove in kamikaze runs against the larger ships. But for every human vessel damaged, 100 Zolthrine craft simply ceased to exist. Catherine watched it all with cold detachment, her heart carefully walled off from what she was witnessing. This wasn't cruelty, it was justice. Swift, overwhelming, and absolute. Admiral, Commander Park reported, Zolthrine Military Command is broadcasting a surrender on all frequencies. They're asking for terms. Catherine thought of her niece's face in the last transmission from New Haven. The child who would never grow up. The 43 million who would never come home. No terms, she said quietly. Continue firing. In the Zolthrine warchamber, Zaltharis watched his civilization burn. 70% of their fleet destroyed in the first hour. Orbital stations reduced to debris. The planetary shield generators flickering under sustained bombardment. High Commander, we must evacuate, his officers pleaded. The civilian population. I know, Zaltharis cut them off. He had spent his life as a warrior, conquering in the name of Zolthrine supremacy. Now he understood what humanity had learned through its own bloody history: there are always consequences. Actions birth reactions. Violence begets violence. But this was different. The humans weren't conquering. They weren't interested in occupation or subjugation. They had come with one purpose: to ensure the Zolthrine could never threaten anyone again. A message appeared on his console, transmitted on all frequencies, in perfect Zolthrine. You came to New Haven as conquerors. You left nothing but ashes. Now you understand what it means to face a species that values vengeance over mercy. This is what humanity becomes when you murder our children. Remember this day. Tell your survivors, if any remain, that humans do not forget, and we do not forgive. You wanted to test our resolve. Here is your answer. The signature read, Admiral Catherine Zhang, United Earth Space Command. Zaltharis closed his eyes as the first orbital strike breached the planetary shields and hammered into Zolthrine Prime's surface. 12 hours later, the human fleet hung in space above a broken world. Zolthrine Prime's military infrastructure lay in ruins. Their fleet had been reduced to scattered debris. The once proud empire had been brought to its knees in less than a day. Catherine stared at the tactical display showing the devastation. She felt empty, hollowed out. Vengeance had been delivered, but it hadn't brought her sister back. It hadn't restored the laughter of 43 million souls. Admiral, Commander Park approached carefully, we're receiving transmissions from other species across this sector. Some are expressing concern about our actions. Others are offering alliance proposals. Catherine almost laughed. Of course they were. The galaxy had just witnessed what happened when humanity unified in wrath. Every species that had considered humans easy prey was now recalculating. Send a message to all of them, Catherine ordered. Tell them humanity seeks peace. We have no desire for empire or conquest. But make sure they understand, what happened here happens to anyone who touches our colonies. New Haven was the first and last time anyone slaughters human children without facing total retribution. She turned away from the viewscreen, unable to look at the devastation any longer. All ships, prepare for jump back to Earth space. Our mission here is complete. As the fleet began its transit home, Catherine whispered a prayer for her sister, for her niece, for all those lost on New Haven. And she prayed that the galaxy had learned its lesson, because she never wanted to command another fleet like this again. Behind them, the Zolthrine survivors began the long, painful process of rebuilding. They would recover eventually, but they would never forget the day humanity showed the galaxy that even the youngest species could bear fangs when pushed too far. The message had been delivered: humanity could be peaceful, but never harmless.